Okay, welcome you all with love. Today it is Parsha Yitro. This is a pretty powerful Parsha. And where I'm going to start is what is it that Yitro heard that drew him out into the desert? It's an interesting question. Well, I read about the 10 plagues. And that didn't quite do it. Then he heard about Amalek and the defeat of Amalek, where Moses was able to hold the staff up in the air, and they would win. If it lowered it, they would lose, and eventually they would be able to defeat Amalek, because through the will of God, Moses' energy and his prayer was able to hold the energy while Yahushua fought the battle. That got his attention, these two levels. Now the key, and we're still asking, what is it that he heard? And he's the high priest of Midian, and he had a pretty good background, religious background. So he heard some very important message. He heard that he had to leave his home, he had to leave his comfort zone, and go out into the desert to join Moshe, and ultimately to receive Torah, and actually to receive the teachings. Now, a lot of messages here, but I'll make it simple. He heard that it was time to be chosen. And Torah being given in the desert is, nobody owns that space. And so he was able to go beyond his boundaries. In other words, he was ready to listen. Why didn't other people come? Well, they weren't ready to hear. So he heard that. He heard the bigger picture, the bigger calling, and was open to those teachings, that he was going to receive the enlightenment teachings of the Torah. He heard it because he was ready to hear it. And that is a very significant point. Now, another little part about Yitro is that in the 3 days before, in the preparation that Moses told the people, Yitro saw Moses having to make judgments on all the people, and he said, "This is not serving you, because you're going to get worn out. So create a whole system of leaders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens, so only the more difficult questions come to you." So that's another message. It's not about the judicial system. Okay? That's not the message. The message is, before you can hear from God, you also have to hear from other humans. And that's the very important message, that Moses, too, had to pass that test. And he did. He really did hear from Yitro. And he passed the test. Now, the next question that came up is, why did Moses speak to the women first about the teachings rather than the men? Interesting question. Well, we can say, yeah, women seem to have more spiritual intuition. They're more ready, they're more loyal to the divine. It also is true that they were the ones, as a group, that did not participate in worshiping the golden calf. So those are all good reasons, but there may be a deeper reason here, and that's that receiving the Torah after 26 generations was the beginning of an effort to create Gan Eden here. And by speaking to the woman first, Moses was playing out the reverse of what happened when God spoke to Adam first, and somehow the message from Adam, the Hava, got not totally transmitted correctly, because he told her, well, if you touch the tree, you will die. The serpent knew that wasn't really the message, and he pushed her against the tree, and she didn't die, which weakened her faith. So, by speaking to the woman first, it was a way of doing a partial correction or a tikkun on what happened in Gan Eden. That's all extremely important to kind of understand in the big picture. Now, there are different versions of exactly what happened, but after the first two of the speakings, it said the people were so overwhelmed with the energy that they died and left their bodies. And when Hashem brought them back, they said, look, Moses, you talk to God, and you relayed the message to us. It's a little bit too much for us. So there's another little piece here, but there's an additional piece. I'm going to use the Hebrew word bisara, which means the good news. And, in Proverbs, it talks about it, and also Isaiah, and that the whole energetics of Torah is a continual replaying of creation. What do I mean? Well, the Anoki means it kind of begins, but the A is kind of the idea of continual creation prior to creation. And so we have a withdrawal, a contraction of the oneness of God to create a space for creation to happen. And analogous to that, we have another, let's say, contraction of the divine to take the divine message and bring it into letters and into words and into the Torah. So we have the energy of a continual creation, starting afresh, Besarar, with the good news. And the good news, as Hashem really talks about it, is that we are forgiven and we start afresh. So the giving of the Torah is a constant happening. That's what that kind of comes down to, which is very important, not just on Shabbat, which is the fourth of the 10 speakings, but at every moment. So now we have a constant playing out in every moment of a new creation, because the Torah is always afresh. So that's the setting to kind of understand it. The first teaching is on Lord thy God that took you out of Egypt. So it's a statement of a both transcendental and immanent God. Okay? And then thou hast no other gods before me is a statement, a mystical statement at the level I'm talking about, that there's only God, and Zelato. So if we see anything separate from God or give power to anything separate from God, we're not understanding, because there's only God. Okay, that's the second point, and that's why idol worship really is confusing, because it takes people away and starts to say, no, there isn't only God. Oh, we have this idol, we have this idol. So when we go back to the deeper illuminated understanding, we say, well, no, there's only the one. So that's a very important teaching an angle of saying it. Well, we have the 70 faces for God, and the other part of it is that all the faces count. So there's not only one way of seeing it. We have to see the multiplicity, the many, and the one. And the third is, don't take the name of God in vain. And there are lots of ways of talking about it, but a key way of understanding it is that the idea of making everything we do holy and sacred as an offering to the divine. So if we aren't acting in our highest level of holiness and awareness in every moment, we're in a sense not acting in sacredness and therefore taking the name of God in vain. And this is a more enlightened, encompassing point of view. It's not about swearing and so forth like that, all of which is true, but understanding everything we do, every action, is an offering to the divine. Fourth is taking the Shabbat, making it holy. And Shabbat is constantly the idea of a new creation. It's a constant creation. So in essence, Shabbat is always happening. But if we don't quite get that, at least we have one day a week when we remember it's a day of enlightenment and it's always happening. Very powerful. And then the fifth is honor your mother and father. And we're really talking about honoring the whole lineage, the prophetic tradition, Maseh Avot Simeon Lavanin, which is the cycles that keep repeating themselves at hopefully a higher elevation. So we see a bigger picture of who we are. Now if we get those first five, which is between humanity and Hashem, then the second five are more a corollary of that. Don't murder, don't kill. The point being is not only other people, but actually don't do things that are going to kill your own soul. The spark of God within yourself. Pretty important little piece. We have the word adultery, and what is adultery about? It is actually sexual perversion, and we see that's been really activated in today's world. And again, we bring ourselves back to every aspect, including sex between parent and child, and so forth, or pedophilia. These are things that are really affecting our society today. So that's important. And then we talk about don't steal. Well, again, don't steal from yourself. Don't delude yourself. Act in integrity with yourself. Act in integrity with the divine within yourself. Okay, now, then what we have is, I'm going to use the word slander, bear false witness, and again, if we go back to the initial idea, we don't want to slander ourselves or anyone else because we are taking the name of God in vain in that way. And we're undermining that spark or that soul spark in everyone. And the 10th is coveting. Don't covet. What are we talking about? It's again honoring that every person has unique expression in the world. They're given unique gifts by God to fulfill that, and that which is for someone else isn't for you. So we have a bigger awareness as we kind of look at it. There's 620 letters in the 10 speakings, as it's translated as not commandments, but speakings or understandings as guidelines. And we actually have 620 mitzvah, 613 in the Torah, and an extra 7 that the rabbis have given. So there's an alliance there of the letters and mitzvah, but the big importance is that in every moment there's a Besorah, there's a awakening to the good news. And the good news is we have the power to choose to be chosen as a chosen people. Everyone has that opportunity. And in that choice, everything starts afresh again. And we can ultimately know David Herut, our devotion, our oneness with God, and our enlightenment process. So this Parsha is really about the joy and mysteries of the continual awakening to the divine. May everyone be blessed that we can remember the Besorah, the good news, and the continual awakening to the divine.